Evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call to order the Arvada City Council meeting for today, May 20th, 2025. Call upon Councilmember Ambrose for a moment of silence and the pledge.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Ms. Rush, if you'll do the roll call.
Mayor Simpson?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mormon?
Here.
Councilmember Ambrose?
Here.
Councilmember Davis?
Here.
Councilmember Pfeiffer? Councilmember Marriott?
Here.
Councilmember Rupert?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Yes, I would like to move to excuse Councilmember Pfeiffer from this evening's business meeting.
All votes are cast. That passes 6-0. Councilmember Pfeiffer is an excused absence. Next, we have the approval of the minutes from May 6, 2025. Are there any corrections or edits to the minutes? Seeing none, those stand approved. We have a few recognitions this evening, and we're going to turn it over to Councilmember Davis to start it off with the recognition of Douglas Magee for the Planning Commission service.
Yes, this is very excited. I am pleased tonight to recognize that we will recognize Douglas Magee for his many years of service to the Arvada Planning Commission. The Planning Commission serves as an advisory board to the City Council. The Commission reviews annexations, rezonings, subdivisions, planned unit developments, and formulates a long-range comprehensive plan. Individuals on this commission play a key role in the development of the City of Arvada. Mr. Magee has served on the Planning Commission for 8 years, from April 2017 to April 2025. During his tenure, he reviewed over 300 cases of development. The following are some of the more notable cases: Candela's Commercial, Morgan at Ralston Creek, multiple fire and police stations, Hilton Gardens, LDC, the LDC rewrite in 2020. Mr. Magee always participated in the meetings with an open mind and showed his love for the City of Arvada. His contribution to the committee is significant, and we thank him for the many years of dedication to the City of Arvada. Is Mr. Magee here? Yay.
Please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council and city staff, some of whom I recognize and I've worked with over the years. I do also want to recognize I have some family members here that some of them have tennis practice tonight because they have a tournament this weekend. So they may be sneaking out even as I'm speaking, but I will be brief. You have a long agenda. I've seen those agendas before, and so I will be brief. Also, I have several colleagues that I served with on the Planning Commission that are here, including the chair, Mike Griffith, one of my neighbors. So I do want to and appreciate the audience as well, but say a few words just about the Planning Commission and my role as a volunteer, really, for so many years with the city. Started in the mid-'80s. I served on a water conservation committee with a water engineer by the name of Sterling Schultz. There may be a few people who still remember that name. Park Advisory Committee I served on for 12 years. One of my passions, outdoor sports and activities for youth and stuff, which my granddaughters participate in quite a bit. But so satisfying to be on the Planning Commission and gratifying to see the different projects come to life and actually be built that we had the privilege to hear before they came to City Council for your final decision. the things happening in the old triangle. I guess it's the Ralston Creek Village area. That's the old Kmart site that has all the housing units and the new commercial development that's there. The affordable housing complex that opened just recently, that's right next to one of the city's new city parks, the Garrison Garden Paseo that's right there. Of course, the Russell that had its ups and downs before it got built in, I think we consider that New Town when it's below the bluff of Old Town. And also, I think the family tree facility that's on 56th and Marshall, the kind of turnkey facility that will do a lot of good for people in the area. So I really like seeing those things go up, that we had a hand in asking good questions and sending it on to the city council. I'm sure most people here, especially the council, staff, and maybe members of the audience as well, would say that we can't do these kind of extra things and volunteer and be away from our family without the support and the love of our family. And so I'm so happy that I have 3 granddaughters here, Scarlett, Harlow, and Taryn, and my daughter, Ashriel, and my son-in-law, Ryan. They're the Lutz family, related to Harold and Marcetta Lutz, who founded North Jeffco Park and Recreation. It'll be 70 years that district came to life in 1956. So I do want to say that it's been a pleasure. I thank you for this recognition. I'm honored. I'm humbled. I wish you a good meeting tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank Thank you very much to your service to the city, both on Planning Commission as well as every other capacity. It's important and it does go recognized, so thank you. Next, we have Mayor Pro Tem Mormon with the recognition of Michael Cillo for City of Arvada Retirement Plan Cart Board.
Thank you, Mayor. It is my honor this evening to present this recognition. Since joining the City of Arvada Retirement Plan CART Board in April 2009, Michael Cillo has been a steady and influential presence. Stepping in during the turbulence of the 2009 financial crisis, he quickly became a calming force, guiding the board through major changes, including 2 investment manager transitions, multiple fund lineup overhauls, and countless plan amendments. His deep expertise in investment law proved invaluable, not just in those early days, but again during the complex 2024 merger of the CARP and executive plans. Michael asked the tough questions, raised key concerns, and ensured a smooth, participant-focused transition. Never one to shy away from speaking up, Michael consistently brought clarity and insight to board discussions. As the City Council's appointed representative, he was a strong advocate for taxpayers, weighing every decision with their best interests in mind. He stayed ahead of the curve by actively participating in training sessions, both board-sponsored and self-initiated, to remain informed on evolving retirement plan topics. Michael's thoughtful leadership, unwavering dedication, and sharp legal insight made him an indispensable member of the CARP board. His presence will be deeply missed. Since joining the City of Arvada's 457 Deferred Compensation Board in 2009, Michael Cillo has been an influential presence. Michael has been influential in guiding the board through several changes, including 2 investment manager transitions and multiple fund lineup overhauls, reducing participant fees, and adding automatic enrollment to the plan. His deep expertise in investment law has been invaluable. Michael has brought clarity and insight in board discussions. As the City Council's appointed representative, he was a strong advocate for taxpayers, weighing every decision with their best interests in mind. He stayed ahead of the curve by actively participating in training sessions. Michael's leadership, dedication, and legal insight made him an indispensable member of the 457 board. He will be missed on the 457 board as well. So it's great recognition to call up Michael and present this award.
just like to thank the city and the city council for giving me the opportunity to serve on these boards, and I think they're very kind words. I'm sure they're maybe a little bit overblown. I would just like to commend the city staff for the job I've seen them do for probably, 15, 16 years now, something like that. The boards, I think, are very well run and always have been. I'm not sure you really need citizen representatives, but I guess it's required. So with my thanks to the city and the city staff, I'll bow out. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service, sir. Councilmember Mara for recognition of Tara Kent for the Sustainability Committee.
Tara, come on up here, if you don't mind. So when I was first elected in 2013, Tara, that was about when Tara began her volunteering on the Sustainability Advisory Committee. And I was the council liaison for the first couple of years that I was on council. And so I got to interact with Tara there, and I always found her to be a great advocate for the city and for the environment, very easy to work with, and worked just great on that Sustainability Advisory Committee, and obviously has put in lots of effort into it over the course of 12 years. So I want to say personally thank you. Tara's been a very devoted champion of the earth during her time in Arvada and on the Arvada Sustainability Advisory Committee. The advisory committee has lots of notable accomplishments since then, and so we would like to thank Tara for that. I have a plaque here that I want to read. It's from the City of Arvada to Tara Kent, in appreciation for your 12 years of service to the Sustainability Advisory Committee from March 2013 to April of 2025. Thank you from the Arvada City Council and members of the committee, and it's dated this 20th day of May 2025. And so we'd like to say thank you. Thank you for your service, and you have done a great job. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor and council people. Ever since I moved to Arvada 13 years ago, I knew I wanted to serve on something, serve on a committee. And I really have been really grateful and honored to be, you guys chose me to be on this committee as well. So I'm passionate about the environment, and it's bittersweet because tomorrow morning I'm moving to Wisconsin. So I'm packing up my things, and that's why, I mean, I know I termed out of this, but I would be on another committee in a second because I really enjoy serving the city, and I highly recommend it, and I really appreciate the staff and their support and all the things that ASAC has done over the years. It's been slow and small solutions, but we have gotten through, waste diversion and organized trash hauling, so the city really helped us do that, and I look forward to following more things as I move to rural area of Wisconsin, and I hope to serve in a volunteer capacity in some way when I move there as well. So really, thank you. I am just really surprised and appreciative. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kent. We really appreciate it, and Arvada's loss is Wisconsin's gain. All right, finally, Councilmember Rupert with Proclamation for Public Works Week.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council is going to be designating the week of May 18th to the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. So I understand we have members of our infrastructure department to be present to accept this. Come on up and I'll read to you while you come. Whereas infrastructure services are integral to the daily lives of our community, and whereas the City of Arvada is committed to maintaining sustainable, accessible, and resilient infrastructure to ensure the health, safety, comfort, and quality of life for our community members who depend on our transportation and utility systems, public buildings, and more every day. And whereas the team members who provide these services are dedicated, skilled professionals who work to ensure this infrastructure can continue to support our city now and into the future. And whereas National Public Works Week provides an opportunity to celebrate and recognize the contributions of city professionals who provide these important services and highlight the significant role that they play in our daily lives. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and Arvada City Council hereby designate May 18th through 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. We encourage all Arvada community members to learn more about and recognize the substantial contributions of public works professionals, engineers, managers, and all employees in protecting this vital infrastructure in Arvada, dated this 20th day of May 2025. Come on up here.
Thank you so much, Mayor and City Council. You already said so much about us, but if I could add on just a couple more things, this proclamation is much appreciated in the recognition for the essential role that Public Works plays in our community. In that spirit, I'd like to recognize even further the dedication, expertise, and pride that our team carries, especially through challenging weather, emergencies, and our ever-evolving infrastructure needs, to put some scale to what we plan, build, operate, and maintain when it comes to critical infrastructure. These numbers are going to get pretty big, just to warn you, but it does include 700 plus city fleet vehicles, of course, operating and maintaining 1,500 lane miles of streets, hundreds of traffic signals, thousands of street signs, 50 plus miles of on-street cycle facilities, 600,000 square feet of facilities, 6 billion, and that's a B, gallons of treated water every year, and 2 billion gallons of waste as well. Of course, we touch many other things, team implementing long-term programs and plans, improving ADA accessibility, waste hauling, and other sustainability programs. A lot of this work happens behind the scenes, and there's a tremendous amount of collaboration and partnerships that it takes of individuals all around the city, and we're very proud to serve the city and value the trust that the community places in us. Thank you so much for this acknowledgement and recognition. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lisberg. That's all of our proclamations for this evening. Next, we have public comment for issues not scheduled on the agenda. This is our 3-minute limit, so we do ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. A couple of other sort of just housekeeping items. This is your opportunity to address council. We always ask that you not try to address other folks in chambers. Please give your name and address when you come up, if you feel comfortable doing so. And then in addition, we always just kind of ask you to keep it civil. Not everybody agrees on everything, and that is totally okay. But rather, what we don't want to do is discourage somebody from, or make them uncomfortable from testifying because somebody else got applauded or got booed or anything like that. So we always just ask for decorum in the chambers as you come to address your council. So with that, I will begin it with Jamie Layer.
Good evening. I'm Jamie Layer. I live on 9408 Highland Place in Arvada here. On May 9th, 10:30 p.m., we had a drive-by shooting on our street. There's an Airbnb that opened up about 6 months ago. There are no regulations, so anyone is welcome to come stay at this Airbnb. There's no vetting process. So at 10:30 at night, there was this party, and it resulted in a drive-by shooting. Our neighborhood is a residential area with families, with old people. I have been there for 20 years, and I have never experienced anything like this before. We have barbecues. We have block parties every year where we rent the party trailer. We have cookie exchanges at Christmas. We share in each other's burdens. We deliver goods when someone is in the hospital. We are a caring committee. And I please ask that you listen to the other neighbors that are here tonight to hear their stories, and that we ask that something be done to shut down this Airbnb on our street. Thank you.
I understand folks, you may agree, but remember, we just try to ask for decorum in chambers, so no applauding, no booing, or anything like that. But thank you very much. You have a minute 23 if you want to continue. Otherwise, you can please, and thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Next is Judy Dane.
Hi, I'm Judy Dane. I live at 14795 West 58th Place in Arvada, and I'm here again to talk about open space trails, and in particular, the Heritage Canal Trail. Hang on a second. I wanted to voice my concern that there's still confusion about the fate of the Heritage Canal Trail. We are glad to hear that APEC is looking again at the strategic plan for all of the trails, the master plan, and we want to make sure that plans don't change on the fly without public comment. And that seems like what happened to us at 5950 McIntyre. We had a 30-foot equestrian easement on that trail that was ignored, and the city of Arvada signed off on allowing the trail to be moved by Jeffco to a bike lane on McIntyre Street, which is very busy. There's still time to change your mind. The final plans have not been made for that permit, and we still have no alternative plan for the Heritage Canal Trail. As I've looked into this and attended meetings, I've realized that it seems like nobody has an inventory of easements that exist from the past, and that's what these trails are based on. And so when you vacate an easement, it means that APEC has to go out and find or buy another easement. Purchasing a 30-foot equestrian easement over that length of the canal would be a very expensive endeavor, and our community does not appreciate that it was moved to McIntyre Street. Also, there's a red tea development that's going on now, and that property had existing buffers and easements as well. And we found out that the planning and zoning reduced the 30-foot buffer to 10 feet and moved the rest of the buffer to be an internal street. A street is not a buffer, especially when it doesn't protect the neighbors next to you. And there was a 10-foot bike trail along the Croak Canal that they told us was no longer needed because Croak Canal needed the property. Well, Croak gets its property from the property owner, and it should not affect that easement. We have heard that there have been some adjustments made to that. I've looked on the Jefferson County Recorder's site. I don't see anything there. I got a link from planning here, and the permit number, I have not been able to go in and see what adjustments were made, but we were told it was an access to Croak Canal, but we don't know if that means it's an easement along Croak Canal, which would help provide an alternative for the Heritage Canal Trail, or if it's just a short easement and they're going to buy an easement from somewhere else. So I appreciate any clearing up that you can do through the Open Space Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. A member of the team will follow up with you on these issues. Next, we have Thomas W. Olschner. Absolutely, I'll hold you for the 5-minute then. Next, we have Michael Layer.
My name is Michael Lair, and I reside at 9408 Highland Place with my lovely wife, Jamie. I purchased that house 27 years ago. I joke that I'm the OG on the street. There's very few people that have been there longer than me, except some really neat elderly folks. But on May 9th, I was kicking it on the couch with my dog, and I heard gunfire out through the double doors in our that go out to our patio on the second level. And I ran down there and looked out, and a car went down the street, and then it made a loop and came back, and it repeated itself. Called the police. We came to find out that it was a gun battle that was initiated at the Airbnb at the end of the street. What our issue is with this Airbnb, it's not that we're against Airbnbs, is that this guy seems to have carte blanche to do whatever he wants. He designed the house. A friend of ours grew up in that house before her mother passed away a few years ago, and they sold it, and this investor bought it, and he set it up as a party house. It's got a hot tub, it's got a game room, he charges $500 plus a night, no nightly minimums. So again, it's not that we're against Airbnbs, but I think there needs to be some regulations and some oversight. We're here to petition City Arvada to come alongside us and help us initiate something along these lines. Like I said, I've been there for 27 years. It's a relatively safe neighborhood. My wife takes our dog for a walk after dark. We don't worry about things. Had she been walking with him that night, she could have been killed. It wasn't, they interviewed me for Channel 4 News, and they kind of played it down like, well, no arrest and there was no injuries. There were injuries. I walked a young lady over to a neighbor's house where she could take refuge because her face was all bloody after getting beat up at the house. It's unacceptable. Again, we're just asking for some governance. A good friend of ours he'll be up here as well, had a bullet go through the wall of his house into his garage and into his refrigerator. He's got 2 young children. Again, I don't know what the process is or what the steps that need to be taken, but that's why we're here, and we're, again, just soliciting you folks to come alongside us and help us get the Old West off our street, because it is a safe street, it's a safe neighborhood, and we'd like to keep it that way. So I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Next, we have Casey Goldberg.
Hi, my name is Casey Goldberg. I live at 9221 Highland Place. As Mike was telling you, my home was affected by the shooting at the Airbnb, which is my next door neighbor. I guess before I say anything, I'd like to thank the City Council for reaching out so quickly to me. I wrote an email to you guys, I think the night that happened, and less than 24 hours later, you guys had contacted me. John Marriott, you'd called me twice, and I had a personal meeting with Lauren Simpson that was just, it was so impressive. I mean, I know that people are so cynical about politics, and sometimes for good reason, but I think I've always heard that change happens at a local level, and just to know that our city is this responsive, I was like blown away. I mean, you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and I sincerely appreciate it. But yeah, on May 9th, my home was struck by 2 bullets while I was in my basement. It was a number of shots. I mean, it's hard for me to explain how it sounded. I thought it was like a bunch of black cats going off. It sounded like that. But when our neighbor sent us our video, which I think one of my neighbors might play the audio, it was extreme. It was like a war zone on our street. And as Mike had said, and Jamie, it's such a quiet neighborhood and such a good community over there. I just can't really believe this stuff. My neighbor used to be an elderly woman who was a very kind person that used to speak to me all the time. And when this guy moved in who bought the house, he introduced himself to me and said that he was my neighbor and never mentioned that this was a short-term rental. And I've never seen the guy again. And I've had, as you guys have seen, I've filed a number of complaints for noise violations, which I'm not trying to be a curmudgeon or anything, but some of these have been really late at night or on weekdays and stuff. And I just think the continual issue that we have with this place is hard to deal with as a neighbor. And I do believe that there's some kind of solution, whether it's through changing ordinances or something else. I'm not quite sure, but I would appreciate anything that could be done about this. I think that on the one hand, things like Airbnbs and short-term rentals do make a lot of sense, and they can provide a lot of good, but it does feel a little bit like this guy, at least in this individual case, that maybe he's not as, responsive as I would expect someone to be. And I think that operating these things as these kind of commercial operations rather than something small that an individual is running maybe is the difference. And I don't know whether there's anything that government can do to address that, but if it could be done, I'd appreciate it. I'm thankful that no one was hurt from the bullets, but as Mike had said, there were some injuries. And yeah, I would just appreciate anything further that could be done on the issue. And I do appreciate that the home has had people stop renting, and so I thank you guys for that, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Jeremy McGreeny.
Hello all, thanks for having me. Not used to speaking in public, so forgive me if I'm too loud or quiet. But first of all, I thought it was important to come here and personally thank both John Marriott and Mayor Simpson for just taking such quick action. As Casey just said, the house has been at least temporarily shut down. It was a very traumatic night. We've already had 4 people talk about it, so I don't really need to get into the ins and outs of what happened that night, but I would like to see, you know, maybe some regulations moving forward on short-term rentals, whether it's, you know, proper vetting or minimum night stay. I think that's really important. We have multiple Airbnbs on our block, and while this was the worst, you know, with a gun shootout, which most of the bullets were fired 20 feet away from my house. You know, we're thankful no one got killed. But there are multiple Airbnbs on our block, and as the others said earlier, we have a family block. We're all very tight-knit. Most of us have been there for a long time, and we have a lot of elderly people. I know the lady across the street from me, her name's Carol. She has an Airbnb she has a B&B right behind her house, and it's a constant party. It's so loud I can hear it across the street. She's 69 years old, lives by herself. I don't think that it's right for some developer or, you know, the owner of this gunfight B&B can come into our neighborhood, you know, reap all the benefits, make all the money, and all we get is the nuisance of it. Like, we get nothing. There's no positives. And also, I'd like to thank the response that we got from the Arvada Police Department. They're also amazing. They're very nice and direct, and they did what they needed to do to, you know, make us safe and then follow up and get further details. So, again, thank you. I forfeit the rest of my time. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Joyce Richardson.
Hi, I'm Joyce Richardson, and I live at 6521 West 69th Way. And I am just here asking the city leadership to explain fully and very soon what the lawsuit over the home rule is all about. This is the kind of decision-making that needs full transparency. I'm very concerned that Arvada's need for affordable housing, the navigation center that Arvada has committed to, and the 24/7 shelter is going to be lost in this messy situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Bruce Morrison.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Bruce Morrison. I've lived in Nevada for 36 years. I came to talk about the homeless, but before I do that, I'd like to just make a comment about all the money that the people of Arvada send to Washington for our war policy. It's been estimated that a little over $3,700 per person goes to sustain our military and our nuclear weapons. If you multiply that out, that's $445 million that the typical city the size of Arvada sends to Washington for that purpose. Some of this money goes to support genocide in Gaza, and a whole bunch of it is waste, fraud, and abuse. So, and I'm sure you guys could use that money in city budget. I want to talk about the homeless. I want to see some progress on a navigation center and a 24-hour shelter. I know you've committed to that, but I want to see some progress and some concrete plans on that. The homeless are a lot like the rest of us. They just have run into problems. A huge chunk of the population of Arvada is one medical bill or one serious, one illness away from being homeless. So it can impact any one of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Karina Gonzalez-Blake.
Good evening. My name is Karina Gonzalez-Blake. I live at 9306 Highland Place, and I'm here also to talk about the shooting that happened in our neighborhood. I'm here to urge you guys to take swift action to enact comprehensive and enforceable short-term rental regulations, especially looking at age requirements, minimum night stays, and zoning restrictions. Currently, there are over 1,000 Airbnbs listed in the Arvada area. 19 of them were within a square mile of this shooting and of my home. With all of the growth that is continuing to grow in Arvada, I find these regulations to be imperative to keep our community safe and flourishing. My personal experience is that, again, like my other neighbor said, this isn't just a couple shots fired. This was over 30 shots fired. And I do have audio that I can share with you. My 11-year-old daughter is incredibly traumatized by this situation. We have lived in our house for 15 years. We know our neighbors well. 10 o'clock at night, on a Friday night, it's very possible for my children to be playing in their front yard and us to be having a bonfire with our neighbors. We're beyond grateful that there was no shooting injuries, but my daughter can't sleep at night. She's not able to sleep in her room that is upstairs for fear of a bullet coming through her wall. So I really am imploring the city to take regulations of short-term rentals as a priority and make a change soon. Again, as I mentioned, Arvada is continuing to grow. I grew up in Arvada. I've been here for 40 years, and I'm happy to see that it's flourishing. I remember when Old Town literally had tumbleweeds growing through it, and it's awesome to see how wonderful and thriving it is. But again, as it continues to grow, regulations need to be in place to keep our community members safe and to keep it a family-oriented place to be. Otherwise, we're just gonna have a bunch of people like this owner that is just keeping this particular residence as a revolving door for a party house. It's nonstop, especially in the summer, and I just don't want to see anything more regretful or loss of life happen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I also have a petition that I had signed that I was wanting to submit.
Please, you can give it to the city clerk. Thank you. Next, we have Mike Schweitzer.
Hello, my name is Mike Schweitzer. I live at 14615 West 62nd Place in Arvada. Hello, Mayor Simpson and City Council. Thank you for hearing me tonight. I represent myself and as a board member of Ralston Valley Coalition. RVC strongly opposes the proposal of HB 1313. I want to also acknowledge that we recently heard that Arvada City is joining a multi-city lawsuit opposing HB 1313. I want to acknowledge and applaud you for that. Thank you. HB 1313 has issues that create major problems with how city, county, and states govern and manage the responsibilities and resources. It can be argued that HB 1313 is unconstitutional. 1313 supersedes city and county land development and zoning codes and installs high-density housing around RTD stations. Cities and counties have a clearer understanding of the impacts and ramifications of LDC and code enforcement than the state does. 1313 states that local concerns are not considered when a perimeter of high density is proposed an RTD station. Among these concerns includes resources, traffic, fire, and law enforcement required to support higher population, and other factors. Finally, recent census data indicates 1313 is not in sync with the current information regarding population and housing trends in Colorado and Front Range communities. One justification for the bill is stated in its own text, saying the state grew at twice the national rate between 2010 and 2020. That may have been true 5 years ago, but current census and real estate data shows these are not the trends and conditions now. The publication Common Sense Institute released a report in February of 24 entitled, "Colorado's Population Rising at Only a Fraction of Its Former Glory." The report found that most recent U.S. Census data that in 2013, Colorado captured 1 in 12 people who moved from state to state. In 2023, that dropped to 1 in 120. That's less than a 1% of tenfold decrease. Colorado State Demographer, in a February document of 24, also showed there is a surplus of housing supply and shows that the same slowdown in population growth. I think that's all I want to say at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Nikki and Ramsey Golomju.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ramsey Turner, and I live at 500 South Eaton Street in Lakewood, and this is my sister Nicole.
I live in 6090 Wadsworth Boulevard, Arvada.
Excuse me. We'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. We are here to speak on behalf of Mission Arvada. And how it affects all of us, and the homelessness, how this homelessness affects our whole community, and the incredible work being done by Mission Arvada to address it. Homelessness isn't a far-off issue. It's close. It's real. Many of us, maybe even some of you in this room, are just one paycheck, one crisis, one emergency away from losing stable housing. I know, because I have been there. As a single mom, there were times that I didn't know how I was going to keep lights on or put food on my table. Mission Arvada helped with food, helped me pay my water bill when I had no other options, and gave me life skills that helped me get back on my feet. They didn't just give me temporary relief, they gave me tools and hope. I would also like to add that I've been involved and a part of Mission Arvada for more than 10 years, and that, this is not new. When I had to step down as a full-time caregiver for my siblings, it was Mission Arvada that stepped in to support them with food, housing, and stability when I no longer could. That kind of support changes lives, not just for the people receiving it, but for their families and futures too. Mission Arvada isn't just providing meals or temporary shelter. Excuse me. They are providing dignity, direction, and a second chance. We can't ignore homelessness, and we can't pretend it's someone else's problem, because it could be any of us, and because we are only as strong as how we care for our most vulnerable. So I just ask for compassion and support for Mission Arvada, and I do understand the difficulties that come along with it. My sister says I covered it. So I thank you guys, and I hope everyone has a lovely evening.
Thank you. Next, we have Lynn Clemens.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Lynn Clemens, and I live at 6202 Kilmer Loop, Unit 102, 80403. And I would like to comment on the first reading of the ordinance that is being read tonight. Why am I here today? Well, the ordinance is concerning intergovernmental agreements, and I see into the future many opportunities to work with other government entities, and I see these things coming up. For example, today in your workshop talking about CDOT and the state, where many of their transportation things are coming up. I have a couple of general concerns about the process. In the staff report states that the process needs to be streamlined for, and I quote, efficient city operations. However, there are no examples cited to show how the city efficiency is being hampered. I think I would like to see some of these so we can, in fact, prove what the summary is saying. And secondly, in reviewing the agenda documents, there's no red-lined comparison for the council members or the citizens to see the changes. I contend that there are some major changes because I looked up the original IGA agreement that was, or process that was adopted in 2012, and I was rather surprised at how different it was. There are some major changes in the policy in the new version. One of my concerns is adoption by ordinance is removed. The summary provided by the staff says this remains in place, but the new policy wording actually replaces the word ordinance with resolution. So you may want to check that because it's not in, it doesn't coincide with what the summary says and what the actual resolution says. So you may want to check that. It also removes Part D in the first section, which is the legal liabilities for the city. And these may be of concern to the city council, and why would you remove that when you're deciding on an intergovernmental agreement? I have another bigger concern, and that's the removal of 3A in the 2012 process, that it says no IGA shall be placed on the consent agenda. However, there's a lot of changes and things being put on the consent agenda, and a lot of times the consent agenda isn't discussed by the council. So I'm hoping that you take a look at the changes, look at the red line, and we want to make sure the citizens know about the changes that are coming with an intergovernmental agreement. So I would just like you to review that a little harder before you decide on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Vera Amanda. Or Ananda, I apologize.
Ananda, yeah. So my name is Vera, and I live near Stanley Lake in Westminster. I'm the volunteer coordinator and data administrator at Mission Arvada of the Rising Church in Old Town. I want to thank you, Mayor Simpson, for the State of the City address that you gave last month. All of us at Mission Arvada are pretty much glued to every public comment that you guys make about homelessness. To the city, I'm so grateful for the $2 million transformational homeless response grant you got from HUD. Without spending local tax dollars, you have the opportunity to make a huge impact. And it's starting to happen. The case managers you hired have been compassionate, strategic, and knowledgeable. I support the use of the suburban studios to provide 35 hotel rooms for people on the path to stability. I personally love the way you're educating our community about homelessness on your YouTube channel by highlighting the stories of individuals like Charmaine, Mikhail, Matt, and Corky. I hope their voices will be included in your public forum to support homeless service planning. You can learn so much from Mission Arvada. Here are some takeaways from my own experience. 1, provide opportunities for people with lived experience of homelessness to drive decision-making. There is untapped wisdom in their journeys. 2, engage the community in volunteering as much as possible. The whole city is uplifted when people get a chance to directly help each other heart to heart. 3, use lots of data to measure success, identify gaps, and change course. Don't buy into false narratives. Look at the data. 4, don't drag your feet. Homelessness is urgent. There is a time to gather input and plan, but ultimately you have to take action. You will always have very vocal critics. Trust yourselves to do the hard things. 5, don't discriminate. People will tell you certain individuals or groups don't deserve help, but actually, they do. I'm talking about people with addictions, mental health issues, and criminal convictions. I'm talking about people who are unemployed, people who lost custody of their kids, and people who rely on public benefits. Lastly, Mission Arvada can teach us all a little about the deep value of human kindness. One of our overnight shelter volunteers shared his experience recently. He said, "I have many great memories from shelter nights, breaking bread as a community, celebrating birthdays, watching movies, and telling jokes. Mission Arvada is such a warm place." Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, we have Mike Griffith.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for your time. I have 2 items to bring up with you. These are suggestions from my point of view. One is exciting, and one is sort of housekeeping. I think it's maybe a gap in our code that we can address pretty easily. So I'll start with the exciting one. I have heard from multiple folks outside of this room and in this room talking about trails, our equestrian history, and easements that the city may own. Mostly those have been concentrated on sort of the McIntyre development that's happening in Jefferson County. But the exciting piece of that, and I think it's something that's worth council's consideration, is that my understanding is that there may be equestrian easements that we have that we own throughout the city. I'm a huge supporter, as you know, of multimodal transportation and trails and recreation. I wonder if there's an opportunity to look at those easements to see if they're substantial enough to where they could be connected. I mean, we pay a lot of money for land and access. We might already have access that we're not utilizing. So that's one thing. The other that I think is maybe more of a housekeeping deal, I'm very disturbed to hear about the incident with the shooting. I think that's really unfortunate for a number of reasons, but it brings up an old issue of Airbnbs. And I think this is something that we missed out on in 2020 when we adopted our land development code. There was a lot of discussion about what we were going to do as a city with Airbnbs. I can tell you as a member of Planning Commission, we talked about, if we want people to commercialize residential properties and create horizontal hotels without any regulation, or if we want to infringe on people's property rights to do what they want with their property. I can tell you I was very supportive of having a regulation that would make the Airbnbs only available if it was your primary residence. So you can do what you will with your property, but you have to own it and you have to live there at least 6 months and a day out of the year. That would discourage people from commercializing residential property in an environment where we're already struggling to find affordable options. So we've talked a lot about homelessness, we've talked a lot about housing insecurity. I think this is something that could be easily handled with a slight code tweak. From an enforcement perspective, I think it would be easier too, because right now we hand out vouchers or licenses, and we have to keep track of who is owning the license and who's managing that property. If we simply said, you have an Airbnb, that's great, it has to be your primary residence, I think it would be easier to enforce, and I think it would make the residents much happier than our current situation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to give public comment at this time? Please. Name and address for the record.
Thank you. My name is Ann LaFoon. I reside at 14825 West 58th Place. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. And I just wanted to come today to thank you for joining the lawsuit with Greenwood Village and Aurora against HB 13 and HB 1304. It's so important that our local elected officials make decisions about local zoning issues and transportation issues. This was a very brave stance. I think it is protective of our community and of our economy. And I just want to thank you for taking that hard stand. There's another bill, HB 1107, which I'm sure you're also familiar with, which was passed during that same legislative session, which removes the oversight mechanism for local communities to file a Section 106A4 suit in cases where a county, for example, might make a decision about approving a development, a residential development. The new legislation, similar to these legislations that erode local control, requires communities who bring a suit to not only be liable for their own attorney's fees, but the attorney's fees of the other side, should a local government lose their lawsuit. So I view your action in that context of preserving local control and keeping it in the hands of our elected officials who know our community the best. So thank you very much for your courage. I totally support this wise decision that I think will benefit all of us.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to speak at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion of this evening's agenda and move us into the consent agenda. We have only 2 items on the consent agenda this evening, and they are R25-045, a resolution authorizing an employment agreement between the City of Arvada and Janesse Ivy, appointing her as a municipal court relief judge for 2025, as well as R25-046, a resolution authorizing a 4th change order to a city manager or CM/GC agreement between the City of Arvada and Saunders Construction, Pre-Construction and Construction Services for the Myers Pool Replacement Project in an amount not to exceed $581,392, thereby increasing the total contract amount not to exceed $41,241,175. Councilmember Ambrose.
I make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. If council will cast their votes. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Next, we have 3 resolutions this evening. I'll begin by opening R25-047, a resolution authorizing a second amended and reinstated intergovernmental agreement among the cities of Arvada, Edgewater, Golden, Lakewood, Wheat Ridge, and the town of Mountain View for the use and maintenance of a regional criminal justice records management system. Patty Ermine, I believe, Assistant City Attorney, you have this one.
Good evening, Mayor Simpson and members of council. Before you this evening is R25-047, a resolution authorizing a second amended and restated intergovernmental agreement for what we refer to as the Records Management Sharing Consortium, or RMSC for short. This is an intergovernmental agreement between several of our local fellow municipalities, Edgewater, Golden, Lakewood, Wheat Ridge, and the town of Mountain View. This IGA, or in this RMSC as we refer to it, is designed to have a police records sharing consortium to share police information and records between our local agencies, and to share the cost of this program, as well as other valuable resources in the form of personnel who manage this system. This is a crucial resource for our police department. It is their records keeping system or report writing system that they use on an everyday basis. It is uniform among these agencies, which I can tell you as a former prosecutor for our county is a very valuable thing, as well as being able to share this resource is advancing modern policing for our agency. The reason why it is a second amended and restated intergovernmental agreement is because when it was drafted several years ago, back in 2015, it did not include the operation that the RMSC board needs to now. They've identified some needs to clarify terms, roles for the board members, what have you, as well as the niche system, which is the actual report writing system, was not specifically included in the original RMSC back in 2015. So the overall goal remains the same. The terms, the legal terms, what have you, in the IGA itself are what we worked on modifying. It is staff's recommendation, or it's the Arvada team's recommendation that City Council approve R25047, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Councilmember Davis.
Is there any discussion?
I see none. Motion is yours.
I move that R 25-047, a resolution authorizing a second amended and restated intergovernmental agreement among the cities of Arvada, Edgewater, Golden, Lakewood, Wheat Ridge, and the town of Mountain View for the use and maintenance of a regional criminal justice records management system be approved.
All votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Next, we have R 25-048, a resolution authorizing contract amendments number 4 and number 5 to a State of Colorado Behavioral Health Administration contract number 23 IBEH 174364 to provide grant funding to the City of Arvada Police Department Co-Responder Program. Mr. Jacks, this one is yours.
Good evening. Mayor Simpson, I think Patrick's going to beat me to it. I'm going to defer to Mr. Emerine to introduce the item.
Absolutely, Mr. Emerine.
We apologize to council. We just wanted to throw you a curveball this evening.
It's okay. You guys like having fun, and I enjoy that. I support this.
Good evening, Mayor Simpson and members of council. Before you this evening is Resolution R 25048, a resolution authorizing contract amendments number 4 and number 5 to the State of Colorado Behavioral Health Administration contract number 23 to provide grant funding to the city for the Arvada Police Department Co-Responder Program. What this state funding does is provide financial resources to our police department and to our city for a critical component of our police department, which is our co-responder program. Those co-responders are trained professionals that have expertise that the majority, if not the entirety of our specific officers do not have to deal with mental health crises or individuals who may be experiencing a mental health crisis or symptoms along with a diagnosis. Periodically, as you can see from the report in brief or the agenda item, is the state makes technical changes to the agreement. Particularly, this technical agreement surrounds the specific funding available in the budget for the state budget for the grant monies to be distributed to the city of Arvada. There is the decrease of, and I apologize, attorneys doing math is never appropriate, but a decrease of about $8,000 from $347,000 to $339 based on this resolution that will be distributed to the Arvada Police Department. Again, it is the recommendation of the Arvada team to City Council to approve R 25048, a resolution authorizing contract amendments number 4 and number 5 to the State of Colorado Behavioral Health Administration contract number 23 IBEH 174364 to provide grant funding to the City of Arvada Police Department Co-Responder Program. And I'm happy to answer any questions that council might have.
If there are none from council, I actually have a couple. You mentioned there's a decrease in funding of about $8,000. Is that year over year, or is that within the existing amount that we were originally anticipating?
Mayor, I believe I can address that. That is the year-to-year, I guess, change from the 2024-25 grant to now this will be for the 25-26 grant. Okay. So I think that comes to about a 3% decrease for the year.
And do we anticipate that this is in relation to sort of the statewide budget cuts?
You know, I don't know that. We had gotten this number, and I believe Commander Thornton is here. We had gotten this number from the state some time ago before a lot of these things changed. But we've known since the grant started that this was always going to be contingent on the state's funding year to year.
Okay, and is there anything with the loss in it that we won't be able to do, or do we expect we'll still be able to maintain the program at the high level at which it's operating?
I would defer to Commander Thornton if she'd like to address that, but I believe at that small decrease that we'll be able to continue as is.
Okay.
And Mayor Simpson, she's whispering over my ear. It is my understanding that the Arvada Police Department will be able to maintain the program as it is currently employed.
Wonderful. It's one of my favorite programs that we do in the city. So thank you, Commander Thornton, and thank you for everybody what you do. And if council, I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Please.
I move that R25-048, a resolution authorizing contract amendments 4 and 5 to a State of Colorado Behavioral Health Administration contract number 23 IBEH 174364 to provide grant funding to the city for the Arvada Police Department Co-Responder Program be approved.
Thank you. And sincere thanks to the state for this. We do very much appreciate their support of this program. With that, it passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Finally, we have R25-049, a resolution approving submittal of a consolidated plan for housing and community development programs 2025 through 2029 and the 2025 annual action plan for the 2025 community development block grant known as CDBG funding. Ms. Espinoza, you have this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, members of council. A consolidated plan is a planning document required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The plan uses data and community outreach to determine the top housing needs, community development concerns, and gaps in supportive services for low to moderate income populations in the cities and counties. This document is produced every 5 years as a condition of receiving housing and community development funding, which for the city of Arvada is the Community Development Block Grant. Arvada's CDBG funds are intended to 1, revitalize neighborhoods, 2, expand affordable housing and economic opportunities, and 3, improve community facilities. The typical annual CDBG allocation for Arvada is $450,000. Arvada's goals over the next 5 years include 1, to encourage the development and preservation of affordable and workforce housing, 2, to maintain and improve neighborhoods, 3, to support human service programs, and 4, CDBG program administration. Arvada's 2025 projects to support the 5-year goals outlined in the consolidated plan include 1, purchasing playscape for Gold Strike Park, 2, to support the city's sidewalk repair program, and 3, to support human services programs. One point of clarification that I want to make is that the city typically allocates CDBG annually to support the Essential Home Repairs program. You will note that Essential Home Repairs is not on the list of projects supported by 2025 funds. We have prior year funds that we're able, that are remaining to support Essential Home Repairs in 2025, so there was no need to allocate new funding to support that program. Essential Home Repairs projects will continue through 2025. The city team is recommending approval of the 2025 through 2029 consolidated plan and approval of the 2025 annual action plan submission to HUD.
Mayor Pro Tem Moorman.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Espinoza, for this. And I know I asked about this, I believe, during the public hearing we had the last time, and so I'm going to bring it up again because the $242,500 to parks, recreation facilities, that's over half of the funds that we're getting here, and so it's a little striking to me. And I understand that's for the Gold Strike Park, and Gold Strike Park just got a $7.3 million grant. So I'm of the question: can this $242,500 be better used elsewhere, in particular to meet our goals for affordable housing, for example?
We are supportive of supporting the Gold Strike Park project. We have been partnering with the Parks Department for a number of years to support their work. And the Gold Strike Park project is a capital improvement project. It was a priority that was made by the city, and there's various departments that are involved with Gold Strike Park. So if there's a way that we can use CDBG to support this project, we're happy to do so. It's not limiting us in supporting other types of projects, but the timing of this project is perfect for us to support because we do have funds available to support it while we're still able to maintain other projects as well.
And if we were to move this out of the Parks and Rec and put it to something like the Public Services, and that would increase that quite dramatically to around $300,000. Can you just inform me a little bit about what that impact would do, and especially to the Gold Strike Park project, for example, if we were to move that?
Unfortunately, we cannot allocate it to public services. We are limited to only allocating 15% of our annual budget to public services. I would love to allocate more to public services, but we simply cannot.
Okay, so you really feel like that's the best use of that amount of money then at this point?
It is, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Bruce.
Yes, I would like to support the staff's decision to spend this money that they can't spend on public services for the Gold Strike Park because it is a brand-new park with millions of dollars of development in southeast Arvada, which is often, doesn't have brand-new million-dollar investments in parks and the kayaking park and I think it does strategically align with addressing housing and homelessness because where do homeless folks end up? They're always in our parks. So this seems to be a really great alignment because I have had residents in my district say, you're going to spend millions of dollars here and then it's going to get trashed. So making sure that we are looking at our housing and homelessness holistically to make sure that when we spend millions of dollars for a major community improvement, that we keep it nice, that we keep it regulated, that we are paying attention to it and making sure that the people who primarily live around Gold Strike who are in more affordable housing, naturally occurring affordable housing, workforce housing at 100% AMI or less, actually have a really nice amenity. And so I am in favor of, since we can't use it towards public services anyway, it going to the park and continuing that close collaboration between our housing and parks departments.
Councilmember Davis.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Ms. Espinoza, for this presentation. In part of my other life, I'm a board member for the Historical Society, and we were able to tour the Gold Strike Park and to also look at the new structures that they're putting in. And there's some very exciting structures. They're aligned with the environment and talking about water and the land. And so it's educational as well. It's not just your traditional swing set and jungle gym. It's actually some educational pieces and parts that I am going to say that a lot of Arvadans will visit, not just the ones in the Southeast. It's a wonderful amenity for the Southeast, but I do believe that this is something that parents are going to bring their kids to. And I'm looking forward to going and visiting Gold Strike. I've only run through it a couple times. I've run through it really fast because there's nothing there to see. And this is an opportunity really for Arvada to put a gem in its crown for the southeast part of Arvada. So thank you so very much for the dollars to do that.
All right. So we have a motion on the first reading. If council will cast their votes. Oh, sorry, my mistake.
I'd like
That's right,
to make the motion
Thank
if
you.
there's no further discussion.
Thank you.
So I move that R25-049, a resolution approving submittal of a consolidated plan for housing and community development programs 2025 through 2029 and the 2025 annual action plan for the 2025 community development block grant CDBG funding be approved.
All right, now we have a motion. Council will cast their votes. Thank you so much, and I support this as well, especially given that we have significant CBDG funds that have been rolled over from years past that we're able to apply to continue to meet all of our other priorities, including housing protection, renter protection. So with that, it's going to be great to be able to add this amenity to Southeast Arvada. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
I just wanted to add, thank you for the explanation and the conversation with my fellow council members on this. I think it's just important that we explain that because it does look a little bit different from the other cities like Lakewood that is part of the plan. So I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I support this as well.
Thank you.
And for those wondering, the reason it's called Gold Strike Park, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the site of the original gold strike in Colorado. So this is a really important, as Councilmember Davis said.
So this is where when Mr. Ralston first discovered gold in the territory that became Colorado.
Yes.
It was Kansas territory, but so this was like in 1848, something like that. So that is the site where it happened.
Yes, so it is, I agree with Councilmember Davis, a gem, not just for Southeast Arvada, but for Colorado to have this preserved and recognized as a historical landmark.
Absolutely.
So with that, council has cast their votes, and that passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence.
Thank you.
1850, well, you darn close, well done. So with that, Councilmember Moorman, we have first reading.
I move that CB 25-011, an ordinance revising the City of Arvada policy for the adoption of intergovernmental agreements, be approved on first reading, order published in full, and a public hearing set for June 3rd, 2025 at 6:15 p.m.
That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. All right, now I will open this evening's public hearings. First, we have CB 25-009, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the City of Arvada, Colorado Wastewater Enterprise Revenue Bonds, Series 2025. Mr. Archer, I believe you have this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, tonight you have in front of you two bond ordinances to allow the issuance of additional revenue bond debt. The funding mechanisms and descriptions are similar, so I'd like to read the first description, and if that is okay, just update the differences on the second issuance. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold, so I apologize. The proposed issuance for the wastewater fund is expected to generate $15 million with a not to exceed of $18 million. You have received multiple presentations over the past few years, including a workshop last week, on what the bond issues will be used for and how they're going to be repaid. To recap, user fees along with system development charges are the main sources for repayment. Both debt issuances will have a 30-year life and will go towards the highest need capital projects as identified by our team and represented on what we call the one-pager. And City Council is probably very familiar with that one-pager. It is the color-coded document that you receive updates to at each of our workshops and throughout the years. The projects are both growth-related and repair and replacement projects. Specifically, the wastewater projects that the new debt will be used for are sections of the North Trunk Line and sections of the Central Trunk Line. If Council approves the ordinances tonight, we will work with Bond Counsel and our financial advisors to obtain a rating on the new debt from a third-party rating agency and then look to issue debt in late June, depending on what happens with interest rates. We are available for any questions Council might have and are asking that Council would approve Council Bill 25-009.
Thank you. Is there anyone in chambers who would like to give public comment on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion of the hearing and open it to council questions and comment. Or motion.
I'll make the motion.
Please continue. We'll do number 1009, and then we'll do 10 separate.
Okay. I move that CB 25-009, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the City of Arvada, Colorado Wastewater Enterprise Revenue Bond, Series 2025, be approved, numbered 4895, and ordered published by title only.
All right, all votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. Councilmember Ambrose for 010.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that CB 25-010.
That's
Yes.
right. Apologies, Ms. Morris, because I didn't introduce both at the same time. So you want me to introduce the second one?
Yes, if we could go ahead and introduce the second one. I think Mr. Archer has some additional presentation he'd like to make related to the second ordinance.
Okay, absolutely. Apologies. They're so similar. I was opening them together. All right, so CB 25-010, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the City of Arvada, Colorado Water Enterprise Revenue Bond, Series 2025, ordinance number 4896. Mr. Archer.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Only two differences. So the water fund is actually expected to generate $90 million with a not to exceed of $105 million. Same payback, same life, same types of projects, both growth-related and repair and replacement. The water projects that the debt will be used for are Gross Reservoir, repairs at the Ralston Water Treatment Plant, replacement of the Arvada Water Treatment Plant, and system expansion projects like water line replacement and new tanks. And again, we are requesting that Council would approve CB 25-010. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Is there anyone in chambers this evening who would like to give public comment on this item? Seeing none, I will close public comment and I will welcome a motion. Councilmember Marriott.
A question for Mr. Archer. Mr. Archer, do you have a anticipated
rate for these particular bonds that we're going to be paying?
Interest rate?
Yeah.
So right now, all in is somewhere around 4.2%.
Okay. And are these double tax exempt municipal bonds?
They are.
Okay. I'm going to ask you this question. I think I know the answer to it, but I ask it every time we go out to bonds. Is there any possibility that there can be an opportunity for Arvada residents to invest in their own community through bonds like this, i.e., maybe not have the whole lot be sold to an institution and Arvada residents miss out in the ability to invest in their own community?
Yes, Councilmember Marriott, you certainly have brought this up to us, and we will continue to work on seeing if we can make a part of it available. As you know, we're required to do a public sale, and what ends up happening is, because we're AAA rated, I say this every time, but better than the federal government, people really like our debt, and so what ends up happening is, at the time of sale, it usually gets bought up completely, and nobody has access to it. And so we will ask again if that's something we can try to make available, and we will let you know.
With that, Councilmember Ambrose, you have the motion.
I move that CB 25-010, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the City of Arvada, Colorado Water Enterprise Revenue Bond Series 2025 be approved on final reading numbered 4896 and ordered published by title only.
All right, council has cast their votes. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Pfeiffer being an excused absence. With that, I will close this evening's public hearings and bring us into the 5-minute public comment limit. And we have one signed up, Mr. Thomas W. Olschner. Thank you for your patience tonight, sir.
Thank you. My name is Tom Olschner, and I live at 9904 West 85th Way here in Arvada. My wife, Robin, and I have lived in Arvada for 30 years and raised our 3 sons here. I've worked my career as a clinical psychologist. I thank each of you for your dedicated service to our community. I'm here to speak about Mission Arvada. I think we are starving the goose that is laying the golden egg. Recently, I asked a staff member at Mission Arvada, so has the city given the $40,000 to help pay for the cost of the overnight shelter this winter? When I heard no, I felt disappointed. I previously volunteered at the Severe Weather Shelter Network, but that organization, as you know, ran out of funds and shut down last summer. Mission Arvada stepped up and, with a myriad of volunteers and a shoestring budget, hosted the overnight shelter on the 45 most frigid nights of our winter. A total of 277 unique individuals stayed in the shelter, and Mission Arvada hosted an average of 45 individuals per night, which totaled 2,035 overnight stays. The guests also received a hot dinner, personal attention and kindness, and cold weather clothing. If the city had perhaps provided hotel stays for that many overnight stays, it would have cost well over $200,000. It cost Mission Arvada about $60,000 in direct costs to run the overnight shelter for the winter. They also had to upgrade their emergency lighting system in order to meet city requirements. And along with other building repairs, including repair on the boiler, they spent about another $60,000. I urge you to pitch in the same $40,000, I think that's the amount, that you've given to the Severe Weather Shelter Network in past years. Please let us not starve the goose that is laying the golden egg. But the overnight shelter is a small program compared to their day shelter. Each week, I see 20 to 30 volunteers each day that are there providing all kinds of different services to the clients there. I see the Monday kitchen crew, Pat, Mike, Oki, and Henry, providing a hot breakfast and lunch. I see Jonathan, who has gotten certified in helping people apply for Social Security disability benefits. In 2024, there were over 200 volunteers who contributed over 20,000 volunteer hours. A big part of why there is such a large and effective volunteer corps has been the leadership of the volunteer coordinator, Vera Ananda, who you had the pleasure of hearing earlier this evening. Vera started at Mission Arvada as a volunteer about 5 years ago, and then started receiving a part-time salary after she had successfully obtained a grant that she applied for on behalf of Mission Arvada. Vera is professional, a master at strategic planning, highly competent at creating organizational systems, kind. My goodness, I had no idea I was going to get emotional. And a bilingual Spanish speaker. A week ago, Vera gave notice that she'll be leaving Mission Arvada this summer as her family needs her to earn a full-time income. I believe that if Mission Arvada had more financial support from the city, that they possibly could afford to retain such valuable and effective employees as Vera. I'm concerned that we're starving the goose that is laying the golden egg. I thank you for your time and attention, and since I have 8 seconds left, I'll explain my emotion. I just feel so deeply about this work that people are doing there. And I'm really sad that Vera's leaving us. It's going to leave a big hole in our organization. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to give public comment this evening? All right, I will close public comment. And Mr. Elshner, for what it's worth, motions get me too, more often than I wish they would. So it's okay. All right. Turn it over to City Council for any City Council reports. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon, your light was first.
Thank you, Mayor. Just really quick, I'll be having my monthly coffee chat on next Friday, May 30th at Sweet Bloom, 77th and Watts from 2 to 4.
All right. Councilmember Davis.
Yes, thank you. It's been a busy week. I went to the Caroline at Ralston, and it's a wonderful facility. They have lots of amenities, pools and outdoor patios, but they also have affordable units available. And I think when last we were there, they still had about 5 of those left, and they're using 80% AMI, and it's really neat that they have that opportunity for tenants. I worked with Vera, Mayor Pro Tem, and I worked with Vera at the point-in-time count, and I definitely can say that you are a wonderful addition. And then I'm sorry that you're having to leave, but we had a great time with you, and we learned a lot, and so thank you so much for that. And I attended several graduation ceremonies for folks this weekend, running thither and yon, and boy, was it a great time to see all these graduates from different high schools here in Arvada. Once again, as I always say, our future is bright with our graduates right now, so I see our youth as being very positive. And then finally, the Arvada Fire Department and the City of Arvada is holding its wildfire, what is it, Don?
It's the Community Wildfire Protection Plan, CWPP.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Wick. They're having some public information meetings at the Revive Church. I would encourage you to go on to the Arvada Fire Protection District website and take a look at when those are. They're very informative, learned a lot, learned the difference between wildland fire, grassland fire. It's something that you need to be prepared for because, as they say, it's not if, it's when. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ambrose.
Yes, I just wanted to update that Deputy City Manager Linda Haley and I attended the Adams County Council of Governments, and the presentation there was about how Adams County is addressing homelessness and some of the figures that are coming out of their health department in addressing this issue. And so I have that presentation I'll be sending around, but it'd be great if we made it available on our website. And also the State of Homelessness, which was a report that was issued on May 4th about Colorado homelessness trends, which is very interesting. And I think we should make these documents publicly available as the city plans to participate in the county event about the regional forum on homelessness, where we will come together and try to figure out what is the plan, especially with Arvada being dedicated to figuring out how we're going to have a 24/7 homeless shelter somewhere in North Jeffco, and really working with the county and all the other regional governments to make that happen. So that is the end of May, and really appreciate the city team's dedication to finding an issue and engaging the community on this.
Councilmember Rupert.
Thank you, Mayor. I was privileged to participate in the Red Rocks Community College graduation Saturday, and this included an enormous diversity of graduates, people receiving both certificates and degrees, including those that came through the medical campus here in Arvada. And so it's a terrific thing to see the people going on to their careers, helping in areas like nursing where we have a real shortage of folks coming in. So it was a privilege.
Wonderful. In addition to the many amazing events my fellow council colleagues have discussed, had a few myself. First was the Joint Service Clubs cleanup, litter cleanup. So this happens annually, where all the different service clubs, so the Kiwanis, the Lions, the Optimists, the Rotaries, both of them, probably a couple others, all join together to tackle different major corridors of the city, picking up litter on a beautiful Saturday morning. And Mother Nature did not let us down. It was a gorgeous morning. Got lots and lots of litter out of the city's roadways. Please don't throw beer bottles out of your cars' windows, people. Sorry, I just have to say that. Please don't do that. But nonetheless, thank you to all of the wonderful people who went out and helped clean up and make our city, keep our city beautiful. In addition, big congratulations to the community table. They have finally closed their capital fundraising campaign on their new facility. They needed about around $175,000 left, and then Republic Services came in with a $250,000 grant to get them over the threshold with a little cushion room. So they are full speed ahead on their new facility. We should be able to get a tour here soon and get that opened. Very, very exciting, and a big thank you to all of the partners who have helped make that possible. And just a big commendation to the Business Improvement District on the launch of Second Saturdays a couple of weeks ago. It was just a phenomenal turnout. Really felt like the beginning of summer. It really did. So invite everyone to join Second Saturdays coming out. Otherwise, we have a couple of big festivals coming up. I believe on June 7th, we have Summerfest, yes. Arvada Festival Summerfest, which is going to be in the Ralston Annex, which is right in front of Arvada High School. We also, same date, have the first ever Arvada Powwow, which is going to be a huge multicultural celebration focusing on Native American heritage, culture. Everybody is invited. It'll be a great opportunity, especially for families, for children who are interested in learning and engaging with our Native American brothers and sisters. And it is at the Arvada Center. Thank you, Councilmember Davis. It is at the Arvada Center out in the Sculpture Garden. So we encourage people to 1-2 both of those. Mr. Wick, anything from you?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, just a couple of things. First is that we have been holding the community wildfire protection planning meetings this week. We did one last night. Another one occurred tonight while we were here. And the next one is on Thursday evening, starts at 6 p.m. at Storyline Church. So if anyone would like to attend, it will be at Storyline at 6 o'clock. We did have one scheduled for Friday, but that one has been canceled. So if anyone was planning to go on Friday, I would recommend they try to make the Thursday meeting. We did record the meeting on Monday night, so that will soon be up on the website. So people that are unable to attend can access the recording soon on the website. Also, we do not have a council meeting next week, just so everybody remembers that. And we'll reconvene on June the 3rd at 4 p.m. for the sub-area study session, followed by the regular business meeting. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Morris, anything from you?
Nothing from me, Your Honor. Thanks.
All right. With that, we stand adjourned.